There you go.
I love your
I love
selfish
you too.
pleasure. I love your selfish pleasure. So thank you so much. I want to. I wanted to bring you back on because I think it's important. We talked a little bit about the stuff that you did in your life, you know, the books and things like that. I would love for you to summarize some of the things that you have done and where you've been. And then also, can you give me, let's dive deep into your quantum healing. Let's dive deep into this a little bit and let's give this beautiful value that you have to offer. And then at the end, we're going to talk about some of the places that people can find you and sign up for some classes and move because we are at a time right now that is so valuable. Would you agree?
Yeah. Yes, and people are so ripe and ready and primed to step into their fullness, and just sometimes just a little perspective change is all they need. So
I
I'm all
love
on board.
I love it. Give me a little recap of you, Barbara, with how amazing you are. How did you start? And let's just get kind of into that real quick.
I officially began channeling in 1987. I began writing music when I was 12 or 13. And my intention in life was to become a rock star, a world famous musician. I did everything in my life I threw into that, but somewhere along the way emerged this other, what we call intuitive art, I suppose, because they're very much the same. Channeling and writing a song, it's kind of the same process. But all of that, unbeknownst to me, was apparently training for this mission that I've been on now for all these years. When I started to channel groups of people in 1993, and I set upon a mission that I never could have dreamt was possible or thought I wanted to do, and that was to become this messenger of angels and then later on of people in afterlife who were here in life who are still working for world peace. And that whole story is very long and intense, and I'd be happy to tell it, but I think there's more important things right now to really pull out of the story, like how did I become a emissary for Albert Einstein and channel from afterlife what he learned after he died. And that process was years in the making, and I do have two specific books that are devoted just to his channeling, the messages of his unified field theory, his map of human consciousness, and his scientific quantifiable definition of compassion as the fifth fundamental force. So that's kind of me in a nutshell. Um,
I love your nutshell. I love your nutshell. Let's talk a little bit about the Einstein. How often are you channeling Einstein?
I have known that it's Einstein since 1998. I believe that Einstein was who I was first channeling, even though my mentors, we were antennas. There wasn't anybody we were channeling. We were just antennas picking up information. So to learn that it was Einstein, but when I first channeled him, 1998, so I'd been channeling since 87, so all those years, it was the voice of every single channeling I'd ever done. It was the voice of the angels that came in early on. It was the voices I heard when I probably was writing music. So
Mm-hmm.
that part of it, I believe in looking back, that there was an important psychological step that these angels and the party and Albert Einstein and this whole mission had to take with me personally as a person to help me not lose my mind through some of this really challenging mental health stuff. I mean, you don't just say, oh, yeah, well, Einstein delivered a unified field theory, and then have testing it through the years and having it come up against actual scientists only to reveal that not only is it what I kind of hoped it was. It wasn't just my imagination, or I was going crazy, or I was making the whole thing up. That really was Einstein. It's proving to me to be. And the beauty of the plan is that I'm not a scientist. That my whole intention, and this is why I get into things later about the laws of attraction and intention and vision and manifestation. Everybody thinks they know how to manifest everything. It's like, don't tell me I didn't try for most of my adult life to be a rock star, but that wasn't my destiny.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot of psychological stuff they had to build into their own sort of revealing to me who they were. And now it's, especially after last April, I went to the Science of Consciousness conference at the University of Arizona, Tucson, with all the left brainies, all the scientists, and came away going, oh yeah, oh yeah, no more doubt in my mind that this is exactly what it is. And so I'm ready for my second year of my World Peace Tour coming up, taking all that with me. But
on your tour, you're traveling through the country. Is that correct?
Yes, I leave home and I go where intuition tells me.
Okay. So you just kind of go, okay, I'm led to, Austin, Texas, whatever, and
yes,
everything lines up for you.
Yes, or someone invites me.
Okay.
And also, I am headed, I live in northern Wisconsin in Lake Superior, and I'm headed to what I call winter base camp with my friend who lives in Georgia. And as I leave, I rent my home out in the winter, and I leave and start my journey. And how I'm called, it's sort of like, how you can get to California, but when you're driving at night, you can only see so many feet in front of you, but you still know you're going to California. So I have a date in Minneapolis in early November to speak at a church I speak at often up there. I've got some Madison stuff going on, and I meander my way down to Georgia, and I've been invited to Canada. I've been invited to Santa Barbara, Vancouver.
So you're all over.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I have one of my associates is in Norway. She was probably the top orthopedic surgeon and also a conflict revolutionary, and she made the decision to change her focus of her medical focus to psychiatry. So she has invited me to come and do some work with her too. But we're very excited about merging these worldviews, infusing conflict revolution into the practice of psychiatry. So I might be in Oslo. Who knows?
Who knows, right? Okay, let's get into the heart of it now. Let's get into you're out on the road. You're going to be talking about conflict resolution, correct? Revolution. Tell us a little bit. Let's go into that, because I know that you and I have spent some time on the phone individually, off the radio, and you have helped me immensely on moving forward in my quantum field. And I thank you so much. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you back on to let's go into this, because if you explained it to me individually and it helped me so much, it could help others.
Oh, great. I'm so glad to hear that. And that's what I find. Well, just very elevator-y.
Mm-hmm.
This process of conflict resolution is not like resolution. Resolution is where you meet with the conflicted party and you are respectful and you know your issues and whatever, all that. It's not. This is a very personalized self-scrutiny, self-system. It has to be self-generated or it doesn't work. And it's about how to deal with conflict from what Einstein has called the map of human consciousness. And that very simply what that is what he calls 3 human dimensions. Emotion, which we put in our solar plexus to know where it is, intuition, which goes in our heart, and intellect, which goes in our head. And there is a very specific way that these 3 human dimensions work together. They also have their individual functions, like a heart is different than the stomach. And then there's also that you deal with them differently to bring them back to balance. So you deal with emotion in a very specific way than you would deal with intellect. And so our process is, first of all, about getting to know ourselves in this really intricate, intimate fashion, and as a way to begin to master our quantum. Because all of this comes from his unified field theory, but we get it down to this really simple process in every day. Here it is. So you have these three, right, where they are in your body. You also have a witness. That's the part of you that can watch everything that's happening in the intellect and the intuition and the emotion, can feel the body, can be a witnessing. And you say your prayers every morning, you gratitude, and then you set your intention that you're going to witness yourself. That's all you have to do in the beginning. You don't have to even do anything else. There's nothing complex. What at any given time in the point of a day, what are you thinking? What is going on in your gut? And what is intuition in your heart impelling you to do? And that's a tough one because people don't think they're intuitive, but it is a function. It's like yes, you can't live without a heart. You don't live, you're not human without an intuition. So it's there. Let's learn to master it and how the system works. And that's what we teach people as we say it's a pathway to global peace, because we all know we have to start with ourselves. Nobody's taught us anything. Nobody, go inside. It's all inside, as within, so without. What is inside? What's going on in there? How can I tell stuff apart? So that's one part of it, and then we could go into how you would deal with bringing balance into your intellect, and how you would deal with emotion, and how we line them all up to work together. But the other part of it is, and this is the part that I love to help people coach through, is when that intellect is thinking it's in charge of the whole system, when in reality it's supposed to be making the decisions to what intuition tells it to do. Think how far away we all are from that. Our intellects are so on top of the show, and they so run the show. So how do we bring that balance? Well, here's a very simple exercise. When you're triggered by someone, and I have one right now that I've just been working through this morning. You get triggered by someone, and you're in a situation, and you have a conflict, and you go away, and there's the emotion coming up, and then there's all the thought processes going on, and you can't even tell you have an intuition in that point. So a very simple two-part process. Emotion is dealt with by breathing, not thinking. You don't have to know if it was the trauma from your other life, or if it was your mother that did it to you, or whatever. We don't need to know that. We need to feel and breathe it and turn that whole way we process emotion into something more like that, to the best of our ability. And so keep that emotion away from the thinking process at this moment. Channel it. And the other side is identify what is bugging you. It was your intellect. Get that to work. Okay, what is it? And so you get it down to a soundbite. Mine this morning was, I'm being gaslit. I'm being gaslit. I'm being tried to convince of a reality that just doesn't exist. That's what that woman out there is doing to me. That was okay.
So
that is,
real quick, a sound bite. Let's talk about that real quick. So a sound bite. So like I've got somebody that triggers me. I'm frustrated with them. And now I'm kind of like pulling that part away, like breathing and getting myself away from the trigger. Is that correct? Getting myself away from the trigger. And the sound bite is how I feel. Is that what a sound bite would be?
The sound bite is the thoughts that are keeping your intellect obsessed.
Like the obsession, the eating the chocolate cake. Yes.
Yeah, I'm looking at that woman that I had to be with in a meeting yesterday, who was trying to gaslight me, and my anger and whatever, how you'd feel if you were being gaslit, really, that emotion is fueling this reality that I think she should do this, she's trying to gaslight me, and then we all do it. It's obsessive, and then you can push down the emotion and sort of protect. You go into a different character who's not as mad or whatever. We can hide it. But to really get to it, I want to know what that mirror of that woman who I think is gaslighting me, what is really the mirror of it? And you know, and I know, and everybody knows that when you're in that state, right, when you're triggered and you're, you know, you're sure the other person is it, you can't really hear your intuition. You can't really break apart the emotion from the intellect to see what intuition is trying to tell you to do in that very moment. So the soundbite is paring down all that intellectual activity, all the thinking that's going on about it's her, it's this, and then you don't think about it for a while, and then you catch yourself in line at the supermarket, and you're mad again, you know, and so all that thought comes. So we have to use our intellect to really parboil it down. What is the one thing that she's doing? Just the one thing. Forget about the whys and the wherefores. Get it down to a real simple thing you can remember on the tip of your tongue. She's gaslighting me. And there you go. There is your sound bite.
Okay, perfect.
Yes. And then this is why we call it the participation of the willing. Because I can tell you where your sound bite can lead you, but you need to find out for yourself. You need to get into your witness and have the courage of your convictions, if you believe in this kind of spiritual work, that we are the change in everything we all say, and say, where am I gaslighting myself? Or where might I be gaslighting someone else? That's the question we ask, and then we put it out there. Now, your mind's going to start going a mile a minute. I don't gaslight people. Nobody's, you know, the ego's going to start kicking up, and you're going to keep feeling and breathing that emotion. Like, nope, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to observe myself to see not who I think I am. Well, I'm a perfect person, or I don't ever do that. No, let's watch ourselves to see where we do it.
Because what you're saying is it's a mirror for you, for what you're doing inside. Mine happened to be, and I just want to make sure I'm correct on this, mine happened to be that I felt rejection from family, from a certain family member. I was feeling rejection. I was feeling I was feeling judged. And I kept saying, okay. And then I had to ask myself, where am I judging others? Where am I judging others? Am I doing this? And so that's what you're saying, is this is a mirror.
Yeah.
If
because
you're feeling
you know,
it, you're sending it, correct?
Yes. And if you're triggered, and we all know that you can have somebody say something to 3 people, and 2 won't get triggered, and 1 will.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a very personalized message. And early on in our work of discovering conflict resolution, the angels, as they were back then, said, if you're involved in a conflict, your part of it, your root, is within you. And first, you need to go in if you're triggered, and triggering is it. They even said, you know, it'll be like pouring salt in your wound, and that'll be the sign that the gift is about to be given. Like, what does that mean? Well, yeah, because if I'm so upset that she's gaslighting me, how should I feel if I'm gaslighting myself or I'm gaslighting somebody else? I should be mortified, really, and want to not be that person. And how do I figure that out? So
I like it.
You found that your soundbite was a very familiar one. When you do this long enough, there's really only about 5 sound bites in the whole world. You know, it really is. It's that you're not respected, you're not loved, it's something that you're not getting.
And judging was mine. I felt like I was being judged. So I was judging others without knowing it, because I would never do that.
Right. And if you did, you'd want to know, so you would stop, wouldn't you? Right.
Exactly. And it's interesting because as I had to sit down and look at this mirror and get my soundbite, I'm telling you, everything is shifted. Excuse me. Everything is shifted. Yeah. The way that I see these people now. And I no longer, they can say whatever and it doesn't trigger me anymore. It's wild to me. It blows my mind. So I know that this works, what you're saying. Okay, so now you get your soundbite. Now you look at the other person. So now where do we go from there? We're looking at the other person. We're looking at ourselves of what we're doing, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Well, the first thing is to remember that this is this is your piece of art. We can talk about how I've done my art and how you did your art, but people are really building a system of how they deal with conflict on an ongoing basis. It's not just the conflict that's triggered you. It's let's put a different system in. So when we approach it, like this morning, I mean, I've been really mad about being gaslit in front of the whole meeting. You know, I mean, I've been in that space. And so it wasn't until the morning of feeling and breathing, listening to my mind, talk about her, and even we can even have the higher thoughts come in where I can say, okay, now she's just a mirror for me. She's giving me a gift of showing me an aspect of myself. And then I flip back into the, I know, but but she said this and she said that. So it takes a process. But when you catch yourself doing the thing, then, like you say, there's this incredible shift because you've gotten to the root, and it's nothing to do with her. It's nothing to do with your relative.
Right, exactly.
And for you, I would think also, as all of us, it ultimately comes down to your own self-respect, to your own self-judgment, that if you're so crushed that somebody out there is telling you you're less than, it's only a mirror for your own voices in your own head, in your own intellect, telling you you're less than. And when you change that thought, and however it needs to be, there's some, emotion that needs to go, there's some new affirmations that need to come in, there's some just grace, right, that shift. And you got it. You get the shift. It's like, we call it hanging and dang. Because your mind is blown. You're like, what? All these years I saw these people like this, and suddenly they're not. I got my part, and suddenly they're all different too. That's amazing to me.
Remind me, is it the affirmations? Then after, how do we release this? Or how do we see that we're doing it, but maybe what if we don't see it? Maybe we still don't see it. We're still stuck with that soundbite, like being gaslit. And being gaslit. Okay. So where do we go? Like if we get stuck in that room, because that's an easy room to get stuck into.
Yes, and what I tend to do is when I get triggered by someone, I get as quickly as I can to the soundbite. I remember one I'll never forget, but she was being so controlling, and then all I had to do was shift and go, okay, so that's my. That's where I'm going to bring in my grace and my humility. Because if I don't think I'm ever controlling, then I've got a lot to learn about myself. You can just be humbled to know, you don't even have to look for it. But you get controlling. I know you get controlling. So that's the humility we take in. Okay, it's my responsibility to keep track of me and where am I being controlling. And to me, it becomes a journey of self-discovery that's so joyful. Mm-hmm. Because people don't want to be controlling. You don't want people to be controlling of you. You don't want to be controlling. You don't want to be judgmental. But when we start with ourselves, and so that's why I say it's an art. It's like a music. It's an intuitive art that everybody is building for themselves. However, you did it for you, right? Mm-hmm. You found. How did you do it? When you found your soundbite? What did you do?
I did some affirmations, and I think that, for me personally, I had to say, okay, this, I had to see this, and I was going to spend some time with this person. So I needed to kind of clear this quickly, because I knew that every time I spent time with this person, I was going to just, take this person and just, get angry and stuff like that. So I had to do some affirmations, but I also had to just stop myself and just say, okay, where am I seeing this in my life? And I started seeing it with my daughter. I started seeing it in my relationship with my husband, not doing it on purpose, but being frustrated and being more controlling and, like, oh, you shouldn't do it like that. And so I started like changing those things I started saying to them. So
perfect. Yes. And that's a good articulation of it. And sometimes it's sometimes the soundbite can be so to me, this becomes a puzzle. This becomes a mystery, putting the pieces together of like, where am I judgmental, or where do I make assumptions? And once you start looking at yourself and asking yourself in love, like, I don't want to do this, you see everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
How I made so many assumptions on that one soundbite. I cleared up a lot of behaviors of just, snapping to an assumption. Well, of course it's this. Like, it is? Let's stop. Don't make an assumption. So it is a self-monitoring course that then eventually what happens is, and you're seeing it, it's the piece that breaks out. For you, it was your family. For me, it's going to be the next meeting after I know that it's me gaslighting myself.
Right. So you're seeing this with you're seeing this with this lady that was in a meeting. And so let's talk a little bit about that. Now, do you feel that you're gaslighting because you're judging yourself? You're looking at yourself too. So it's not just what am I doing for others? You're also looking at yourself. Like, how am I judging myself? And I had to ask myself that. How do I judge myself? Well, I notice I judge myself with like my weight. I judge myself with, certain things. So I'm already feeling that I'm judging myself. So with your lady, talk a little bit about how you're feeling with that now. Do you feel like that's cleared, or do you feel like you're still going to have some more clearing, I guess?
I feel, because right before I came on the show, I called a friend. It's like, who wants to be a millionaire?
Call a friend.
I could call a friend, my buddy, my rever, and we talked. And of course, she had the same. She was having almost exactly the same rev in a different soundbite. But because gaslighting, if I'm gaslighting myself, I'm telling myself things that just aren't true. And for me, as a practitioner of this and a deep study of it, every time that I look at the lady and engage in any of that thinking process that's analyzing what she did, analyzing what she said, not that we shouldn't do that on our way through the process, but I don't even want to go there. That's my goal. But when I get triggered, I'm going to go there. And I gaslight myself every time I think it's about her. Right there. There's the automatopoeia, sort of, right there. Because it's not about her. I know full well. I wrote the manual. So we're getting down to really intimate, intricate relationship with self, where there isn't anybody, it's not that I'm judging other people, although I do. I'm judging her, right? I mean, like you said, here I am saying she's responsible for me feeling like I'm being gaslit, and I have to go have a talk with her. It's like, that's what's driving me crazy, all that thinking and that impetus. But this is where we catch ourselves to change the system. And every time we do it, every time we see ourselves in present moment, acknowledge it, then say, oh, well, how do we change this? Intuition can now be heard. And it probably gets down to much smaller steps than, well, I have to go to all my relatives and have a talk with them and tell them I'm sorry. Or, it doesn't. It just changes. Everything shifts. And either people rise up to the occasion and you find out it was you all along, not them, or if they really are gaslighting you, they disappear because you're not gaslighting yourself.
They just go away somehow.
Yeah.
And so I want to go over the three. It's emotions with the solar plex, correct?
Yes.
Intuition, heart,
In the heart. Mm-hmm.
and intellect in the head.
Yes.
How often are you finding people live in that intellect piece?
Probably 92% of the time.
That's what I was thinking. It was pretty high. Okay. That's what I was thinking. Because we hear that often versus living. And how often should we be living through the heart? What's percent?
Well, it's an alignment. It's like a machine. It's like an operating system. So the emotion has its purpose, and on a very root level it's like the primordial soup. It's the quantum field that's becoming wave becoming particle. So it's much beyond your personal feelings or, how you empathy. Beyond that, on a scientific level, Einstein says, it's the substance the physical world, and it's flowing up. And as it flows up from the center of the earth, it becomes the voice of that creator within us, intuition. So intuition then is meant to tell us the next most advantageous step for the good of the whole programmed of this miraculous system that is you. And it doesn't, you don't make the decision. It's the advice that goes to the intellect, and then the intellect has been given the ability to have free will. So if you're going to turn left, the intellect will send the signal to the brain, the arm pulls the wheel, blah, blah, blah. Your heart, your intuition doesn't make that happen, just like your heart doesn't digest food. The intellect does that. So the intellect can say no when intuition says turn left. Intellect can say, no, if I turn left, I'm going to be late, and then there'll be this, so I'm going to turn right instead.
Yeah.
And we live that way. We live that way. So our work of conflict revolution and this unified field is to have us become waking, walking awareness of how, are we breathing and feeling our feelings, letting them flow through us at any given moment? What is intuition impelling us to do? And is intellect going to do it? And it works well with, like, the beating heart. Intuition says, heart, beat, and you don't have to think, okay, heart, beat, 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 beat. But it's a much different way to live than sitting in the head all of the time and getting out to the rest of the body.
What would you say when people are asking you they've got like a conflict, but they don't know where to like start? Because sometimes I want to go back, just trying to get out of that like emotion. You know, I'm injured, I'm frustrated, that person's wronging me and they can't see it. Is there anything that you can suggest to have them, is it just that has them help them? You know what I mean? Like, is there anything to just, you said breathe, but is there anything else that you can suggest?
I would suggest before or when you're not in that condition, when you're in a calmer, more grounded condition, set up a vision and just, it doesn't have to be a vision board or a big plan or anything. Just like set up an intention. Do you want to do this? Are you willing to take these steps to get to know yourself in this really deep way? And if you're not, you're not. You know, no, I'm fine. I don't need to. Okay, maybe next time around when karma, kicks you, you'll get a deeper understanding. But when you're willing to do this, then just set out and set your intention. And then when you get in those places that you're talking about, these are the actual sort of microcosmic moments of growth, of when your intention can remind you, even if you're in that turmoil, to say, oh, here's what I need to do. And at the very least, stop and breathe. At the very least.
Yeah.
In that moment, at the very, very least, stop and breathe. Don't make a decision, just stop and breathe and pay attention. And then it's like having a herd of horses, wild horses, that you're taming, that you're bringing in to be cooperative and obedient, although obedient really means listening. But that's the intellect. It's wild horses up there. Crazy. And really, really nurture and cultivate a witness of yourself and have this awareness, because nobody else is going to do this for you. No one's going to feel your feelings. No one's going to master your thinking process, and no one can tell you what your intuition is. It's your very special voice of God within you.
I like that. Barbara, I want to talk a little bit about the quantum field and talking about manifestation, because you talked about that in the beginning a little bit. So let's talk about kind of how all that works and what you see and what suggestions you can give to people.
I would say that the laws of attraction are a partial piece of this unified field map that we have. And I think there's some misunderstanding about attraction in the sense of if you maintain a particular level of vibration or what have you in the quantum that you'll attract to you. And so the example that I use is that, like I said, from the time I was 5 years old, I was holding a hairbrush, singing into it like it was a microphone. Everything that lived and breathed in me wanted that, intended that, made decisions for that for a good long time in my adult life. And I could never quite get up there. And the question became, well, what's wrong with me that I can't do this? Now, years later, I see the manifestation of the higher spirit in my life was pulling me in a different direction that my conscious mind never could have known, and that it wasn't designed for me to be what I thought I wanted to be, not because there was anything wrong with me. In fact, because there was a lot that was right with me, because despite all of that, despite of that drive to want to go in that direction, I let intuition lead me into this other direction, which is now, I'll be 70 next February. It's a long life study of what I've been doing, and every year that passes goes, thank God they were in charge. So when it comes to manifestation and the quantum field, I think there's a fine balance that we have right now between what you personally see or want to manifest or visualize that you want to manifest, ask for what you want to manifest. And then there's an equal amount of surrendering to the mystery and letting go of manifesting it and detaching from it. And I think that's the crux of what's a little bit amiss with, well, there's another piece of it, but so I think Einstein said it earlier this summer about wanting everything that you have instead of trying to get what you want.
Ooh, I like that.
And
okay, say that one more time. I like it.
You wanting everything that you have instead of trying to get what you want, manifest what you want. Now, always, there's this joyful bit of creative visioning that we go through when we dream. We dream about stuff, and we get really specific about it. And oftentimes, that is the mechanism that then brings it to life, is that passion, that emotion that's hitting those thoughts, that's projecting that dream, and the intention then to take the steps to make that dream come true. It's all a beautiful thing. And sometimes you might want this now, and you do all those things, and you imagine, and you vision, and you breathe, and you stay only in your highest whatever, and it doesn't happen. The last thing we should do is say, well, what am I doing wrong? What's wrong with me? I must have some hidden thing that needs healing. It's like, no, it's not it at all. It's just surrender to this incredible mystery that's going on that's much bigger than your human mind.
What happens, let's just say, okay, for an example, I'm going to give you this. Someone really wants a deep relationship, okay? They've been single for years or whatever, and they're wanting this relationship. They kind of get into a little bit of a relationship, and then it gets bounced off that says, hey, I'm not ready to get into a relationship. Now, this person is just focusing on what's wrong with me, where did I go, what can I do? With a situation like that, how would you maneuver that? Because I know a lot of people that are single that go through this constantly.
I believe that us single people are, I don't want to say that we're challenged, but I think people who are single, who are seeking partnership, are challenged to first have the deepest, most self-loving relationship to themselves that they can possibly build. Because every time that we become self-sufficient in the sense of you're not validated by anything outside you, you're not waiting for somebody to tell you you're right, or this is all being generated from this deep relationship with self that we're all building, and that this is the building blocks of all of our work here. And then you add that with the passion of being able to visualize that. And, I've done that myself. I've been single when I was much younger and really wanted to have more than just a 6-month relationship with somebody that I learned one more thing from, and I took that time and I had to detach. And in that detachment was a deep longing and a sadness and a feeling like I wouldn't be full and whole until he came. And he did come. And it was true. And then in the end, we were meant to teach ourselves these things together and then not be together for the rest of our lives. And as it was a difficult transition, we're very good, loving friends. And he's happy in the family that he's in, and I'm happy completely alone. And so there's just a much longer view of what relationships are about. But if we just start with ourselves, and it's like want what you have. If you don't have anybody in this moment, then just go love all over yourself and use it as an excuse to just get better and better so that you attract someone of that caliber too.
Yeah, so you're attracting the person that is like you because you felt that self-love inside your heart. Is that correct?
Yes. And in the way that matter is manifest, that is actually projected from inside you out into the universe, and then it comes back to you, and you perceive it. So it is the law of attraction in a way, but it's not that you just magically attract it. It's part of your programming. It's part of your intention. It's part of your whole interaction with your whole life, and a lot of times attracting those people that only lasted for 6 months. Okay, well, there was a little lesson planned by me for me to figure out one more step. But the thing about the self-love is that that's going to be the key to those learning things. It's like I said, if you attract someone, they leave after 6 months, and if you love yourself so much that you cannot gaslight yourself into thinking that you did something wrong or there's something missing with you or he was an asshole, whatever, and you can say, all right, this is my chance to love myself. In those moments, if you're downgrading yourself in your head, what's wrong with me? I need healing. It's that, I screwed up again. That's where you need work. If you can go through it and say, oh, God, this hurts, but this is, okay, onward, let's pivot. Let's pivot into how can I love myself more, and it can start with those self-thoughts, right?
I like it. Thank you. Barbara, let's talk a little bit. You're traveling around the country. You're getting ready to take off on this amazing tour. This is the Peace Love Tour. Is that right? Am I saying it right?
World Peace Tour.
World Peace Tour. I'm going to add love to it.
World Love Peace Tour. Year 2.
So what are some of the things that you will be teaching? Because we kind of talked about it, but what else are you going to be teaching out there on the road?
On November 3rd, I'll be at the Lake Harriet Spiritual Community in Minneapolis, and I'm going to be talking about kindness and the power of kindness. And if you think about what I just said, it starts with us, like the power of us being kind to ourselves in our wild horses of our intellect. I think if people master that, you've mastered a whole lot. So, and also in January, I'm starting a 6-week online Zoom class of how to channel. I've had so many people ask me about it, and I haven't taught this course in many years, and I'm very much looking forward to it. So I have a Monday morning class and a Saturday morning class, so people can do as they need. And then when I get to Georgia, I'm going to be traveling around as invited. There's some Unity churches in Florida, in Pensacola, and up in there, and some stuff going on in Atlanta. I'm going to be seeking out. And for the people who I have a friend in Pennsylvania who has a retreat center who wants to do some work. She works with people from trauma. and she wants me to come up. So it's all, but you can go to barbarawitt.com and see my schedule and see where I am and read the blogs. I do a lot of World Peace Love Tour diaries about who I meet. And last year was just amazing. I did like 23,000 miles, 7 countries,
wow,
13 states, and I hope to get to the Science of Consciousness conference in Barcelona in April to follow up with what I learned last year.
Don't hope, just do it. Just put that in there. Just put that in there.
That's right. I'm going.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I love it. Can you go back real quick to the channel just to give kind of like an idea of what people could expect in that Zoom class? You're going to be doing it for 6 weeks. It's going to be Saturday and a Monday. So
I'm doing the same class. So you pick one of the two that works.
Yeah.
And yes, we're going to go through 6 classes, and each one is specifically designed to help people, first of all, understand their mechanism in a new way, and then how to use those mechanisms. So intuition is always there. It's always telling us the next most advantageous step. So we explore the 3 human dimensions, and then we get into some practice of how to get out of the way, and how do we learn what is channeling, what is our ego, what is intuition, how do we trust it, and of course we'll be all along the way giving you some homework to see how it comes out, see how it works. And I'm going to try to keep the classes small so we can have some time, an hour and a half if we need to have that much time. I'm very excited. I love doing this work, and I love this young kids, these young.
Yeah.
So powerful.
They're coming in with so much light, and this is just a beautiful added piece for anyone. And you believe that anybody can channel. It's not like only special people. There's a handful of people over here that only know how to do it. You believe everybody can channel.
I do, and I think everyone can sing. How well they sing, what they want to do with that singing, how much they want to sing. I always tell people, I'm a singer too, right? And so I always tell people, if you sang as many hours as I've sung, you'd probably be better at singing. But do they want to sing? So, like, what does it mean to you to channel? What are you looking for to open up that part of you? There's so many different, as there are channelers, reasons to get into that state.
How long does it take, and this is just a side note really quick, how long does it take for you to channel, like when you channel Einstein? How long is that? Like, can you like get into connection with him like now, or is it like an hour that you get into it? How's that work?
Oh, no, I can pretty quickly just close my eyes and get out of the way. And, how much of what I'm saying to you now is influenced even.
Because I wanted to see, like, at the, closer to the end, if there's a message that we can hear from Einstein, if there was something that you could do right at the end. So, because we've got a little bit, a couple more minutes here, but I wanted to, your classes are amazing. I'm excited. And for people to register for the class for channeling, and it sounds like you have another class as well, right? There's another one going too?
I do. I'm starting on Wednesday with an 8-week autumn meditation class.
Ooh, okay.
And what we do is it's kind of a hybrid that I discovered last summer when I did a series about remagnetizing our energy, our electrical fields, electromagnetic fields, to that of the Earth. So realigning ourselves with the Earth's electromagnetic field. And that's something that is so much in all the Einstein work of the unified field, is that, the Earth is the center of the source. The Earth is our home here. And so doing that was so powerful, and it works on the hippocampus, because our hippocampus, all the waves and the vaccines and the whatever, all of that separate us from ourselves in our hippocampus, which is a part of the brain that's at the nape of the neck.
Oh,
and
okay.
it's sort of shaped like it's shaped like seahorses, I guess, but the energy field is like an infinite symbol that goes like the left brain, right brain. And Einstein says it is the intersection of where the non-physical meets the physical, and our whole perception of physical reality is born at the hippocampus. So when we disconnect through stress, affects it, they think that stress is a major cause of dementia because there's a disconnection of that, whatever the cortisol or whatever comes out of stress. We realign, but I'm really focusing on world peace right now, and doing some deep visualizations of us becoming the earth and becoming the change. And we go through the whole map, his whole unified field and map. We meditate you through the wave, and you become the whole operating system. So it's really cool, and I'd love if people joined us. We do it anyway.
How long is the class? It's 8 weeks.
The meditation,
Yeah.
yes, meditation is about 8 weeks, and it's probably 45 minutes.
Okay.
Right? I like to do a strong half hour of deep meditation and channel. It's a combo of channeling, and then there's a little message at the end that kind of sums up what each one was all about.
And if somebody's not really strong into meditation, don't let this fear fool you. This is only going to strengthen your meditation practice. So if somebody's like, "Hey, I don't meditate that much. I don't know what to do," you're going to help them walk that through. You're going to get them to where they need to
yes,
be. Okay.
they're going to just sit in a chair for a half of an hour and listen to the sound of my voice.
Wow, that's it. I mean, yeah, you've got so much energy. You've been doing this for so long, your whole entire life, I say. Really since you were little, and you have come in and out, and now you're this amazing teacher that is part of our universe, part of our world, that is helping others clear some of this garbage that we have attached ourselves onto and get clarity in our lives. And I'm grateful for you.
Thank you so much, Tanya. Thank you for letting me come and talk. I'll come anytime. We can talk and talk and talk.
I know. I'm excited. Okay, so make sure everybody go to the website. It's barbarawith.com, and that is just like you spell Barbara, and then WITH.com. And you will see all the wonderful things, and you can keep up with her and, have her. You do private readings anymore, Chief?
I do.
Okay.
I do. And if your listeners want to reach out, I'll give them a half off of a reading.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much. Now, Can you give us a little message of what Einstein wants us to hear as a collective?
Yes, absolutely. So let's just all sort of take a few deep breaths and turn our focus inward and imagine, if you will, there is this circle of souls that are surrounding us. And as if we're in some sort of stadium, and up into the bleachers are all of the angels and all of the souls of all of the people who have come here to make this planet the new earth. And so we will command that only the most divine light shine down upon you at this time, and the greatest good be present here. We are delighted that you have offered us a chance to say a few words. We just want to reiterate to everyone out there that all of this intricate work that you are doing on yourselves, in your lives, all of the challenges you've been brought, whether they're the need to manifest love or to end conflict in a meeting, or all of the ordinary tasks, these are the important ones. We want to inspire you to turn your understanding of yourself inward to the amazing, unlimited human potential that you are, and use that to shape who you will be in the world. And we want to inspire you to not go out into the world and think what it's doing to you or what it should be doing for you, go out into the world and look at that as this opportunity for you to become the change, to become the impact in the field. That you're not just tossed and turned like a ship adrift in the ocean. You are the power of compassion as this fifth fundamental force. This is what you are made of. This is what you are attending. And we want to inspire you with the truth, for you to find the truth within yourself and let it inspire you to make the decision to help make decisions for the good of the whole. That your commitment is to truth, to becoming truth, and love is truth, compassion is truth, so that when you go out into that physical world, you are shining that truthful light, and you are taking care of yourself. You are feeding yourself from the direct connection to the unlimited supply of compassion that is the truth of who you are. So do not gaslight yourself into thinking that you are any less than that. And if you need help for specific steps, ask, and also retreat to the next step. Make it a very simple directive. When you're overwhelmed, when you're feeling emotionally filled, when your intellects are running around stampeding, take it back to the beginning, to the next step. And ask yourself, when you wake up in the morning, do you have everything you need for today? And get that in order for today. And keep your focus there. And then as you do that, and you honor yourself, and you change your thought patterns to always surround you with intellectual messages that are loving and uplifting and inspiring, when you're feeling and breathing all those emotions, all of them, and you hear intuition and you're obeying its call, you're listening to its call and doing those things, you will see the world change around you. You are the petri dish. You are the experiment. You will see it, and you have to see it for yourself. So if you need help and assistance from us, you know where to find us. And otherwise, we would just tell you to watch and be amazed. Namaste.
Oh, thank you so much, Barbara. Barbara With, you are an amazing person, and I am so grateful for you. Thank you so much for all that you do for this world and for the journey that you've been on. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. And thank you, everyone.
Yay. BarbaraWith.com. Check her out. She's amazing. I adore you. Thank you, Barbara. Hold on 2 seconds.